Live now to Tel Aviv, and Mark Regev, senior advisor to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Ambassador Regev, good to have you with us today, sir. I want to ask you about that clearly, but first I do want to get your reaction to what we've been watching on the National Mall here in the United States. And also, the president did not appear at that today. What's your reaction to that?
So I'm thrilled, and I think all Israelis are, to see this support in Washington today. People standing up for the U.S.-Israel alliance, people standing up for my country at a time of war, people demanding the release of the hostages. I think this is very, very positive. And, of course, condemning anti-Semitism. You know, anti-Semitism is, they say, it's the world's oldest hatred. But it has staying power, and it's important we fight it. And I applaud all of those people who've taken the time to go and stand there on the mall in Washington. I think it's fantastic.
So President Biden chose not to go. The vice president is also not there. What message does that send?
So I don't know about their schedules. I know that often my prime minister wants to go to events and he can't because of other commitments. I'm in no position to judge.
And do you believe that that their support is holding, because there are all of these letters that have been written by members of the State Department and the National Security Council of people urging him to back down a bit in his support for Israel and to support the Palestinian cause and to stop the bombing?
Well, let's be clear. Anyone who calls for a ceasefire today is calling to keep Hamas in power. That's the bottom line. And if Hamas stays in power, Israelis will continue to live next to this terror enclave on our southern frontier. And that's unacceptable. The Hamas leadership has said publicly since the terrible massacre of October 7th that given the opportunity, they would do it again and again and again. And Israelis shouldn't have to live in fear of these terrorists coming across the border once again and killing their children, burning, raping, beheading. These sort of terrorists must never again be allowed to attack us. And the only way to achieve that is to eliminate their control of Gaza. That'll be good for the people of southern Israel, who will no longer have to live with this threat. But it's also good for the people of Gaza, who deserve better than this bunch of cutthroats that have been running their society. So
let's talk a little bit about this trade and how close is it to happening, and is Israel willing to turn in Palestinian women and children who they say are in your prisons in order to get these hostages back, the women and children back?
If we are close to a deal for the release of our hostages, and as you said correctly, almost 240 people held, of them 32 children, and of the children, babies and infants. And I always ask us to remember, what sort of people kidnap babies and infants? What sort of people can kidnap a 9-month-old baby? They really are sick. They really are depraved. What more can one say about Hamas? But if they are moving towards releasing hostages, it's not because they've suddenly become humanitarians. It's because they've been on the receiving end of the IDF's military might, and they are feeling the pain, feeling the pressure, and this is forcing them to move on the hostage issue. I hope we get a deal. I'm not sure when that will happen, but as long as we keep the pressure up, I think we're expediting the chances that we're going to get people out.
Okay. All right, Ambassador Regev, thank you, sir. Good to have you with us as always. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So look at this.